Hey Dragon Slayers, today's video is about hepatitis C, the gallbladder, gallstones, and how insulin affects them. Being insulin resistant is the strongest known predictor of developing non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, increasing the risk of having it by 15 times compared with an insulin-sensitive person. Critically, while almost all obese individuals have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, even lean people, if insulin resistant, have a substantially greater likelihood of developing the condition. In fact, if a lean person is diagnosed with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, it is almost always certainly a sign that the person has insulin resistance and will likely develop type 2 diabetes. Fatty liver was once considered to be nothing more than a benign side effect of other diseases, but recently studies refute this idea. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is a gateway to more serious and potentially life-threatening liver disorders, of all of which are associated with insulin resistance. Once a person develops non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, the liver can later become inflamed, which, if chronic, can lead to scarring of the liver, known as hepatic fibrosis. One half of all people with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease will develop fibrosis. After this, one-fifth of people with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease will develop cirrhosis and potential liver failure, requiring liver transplant for survival. In some, they may avoid liver failure but develop liver cancer, which is not a good trade-off at all. So let's take a look at hepatitis C. The liver disorders we've covered are problems that develop over time as a result of insulin resistance. However, there are several known viral causes of liver infection that have nothing to do with insulin resistance at all. One of them is the hepatitis virus. While insulin resistance is certainly not relevant in the person getting the disease, there is limited evidence that insulin resistance may make the infection substantially worse. For instance, in patients with hepatitis C, those who have insulin resistance experience the worst degree of fibrosis. Moreover, insulin resistance may mitigate the benefits of antiviral medications. So, looking at insulin and the gallbladder. The gallbladder is located right beneath the liver and is the liver's sidekick. They work together to properly digest the fats that we eat. The gallbladder's main job is to store bile, a fluid created by the liver. Bile is mostly water along with salts. Bilirubin is a substance made up of old red blood cells and fats. These substances all act together to emulsify the fats in the intestines so that they can be absorbed into the body. By acting as a reservoir for bile, the gallbladder allows the body to digest fat more readily than if the liver were forced to produce the required quantity each time. The most common disorder of the gallbladder occurs when otherwise very watery mix of bile becomes too thick, resulting in the formation of stones. Bile can become prone to forming stones in two ways. The liver may be producing too much cholesterol, or the gallbladder may not be contracting enough to push the bile into the intestines. So insulin resistance affects both of these functions. First, let's look at the situation with excess cholesterol. A gallstone can form if the bile becomes too enriched with either bilirubin or cholesterol. The liver is responsible for removing old blood cells from the body, and the bilirubin is a part of a degraded red blood cell. Insulin resistance has nothing to do with this as far as we know. However, insulin has a tremendous influence in the rate of cholesterol production in the liver. The cholesterol can either enter the blood or be moved into the bile and stored in the gallbladder. Thus, as the body becomes insulin resistant and insulin levels climb, the liver begins producing more cholesterol than normal, which can enrich the bile with too much cholesterol. Multiple human studies have found that insulin resistance is one of the most significant risk factors for developing gallstones, predominantly cholesterol stones, the most common type worldwide. There's even clearer evidence in animal studies that insulin and insulin resistance may directly cause gallstone formation. One study in hamsters found that injecting the animals with insulin daily for 1 week was sufficient to increase cholesterol gallstone formation. In the second study, scientists created genetically modified mice that were insulin resistant only in the liver. They fed their rodent subjects a diet of cholesterol enriched chow. The liver insulin resistant animals, but not the normal mice, developed massive cholesterol stones. The gallbladder is normally able to reduce the chemicals of a stone by contracting to pump bile into the intestines. This ensures that bile components such as cholesterol have less time to coalesce and form a stone. So that's what I've got for you guys today. Don't forget to like and subscribe because it really helps the channel out. And remember, guys, that together, you and I will slay the dreaded diabetes dragon.